Were the apostles, Peter, Paul, and James, Christians? The early believers were not called Christians at all, and words like Christ, Christianity, Christians, Jesus, cross, church, Bible, God, and gospel were not around until the Roman Catholic Church had begun. The fact is that many are not aware of this, and all it takes is a little research, and you will see it's the truth. Many have explained it away as being translation issues, but there is something much more sinister going on behind the scenes.
Remember ye not that when I was yet with you I told you these things? And now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way.
What mystery was he referring to? The work of the beast spoken of in the book of Daniel and Revelation. The Apostle Paul had already begun to see this mystery unfold in his days.
Good morning. You know, Woodrow Wilson was the first American president to visit the Pope back in 1919. He met with Benedict XV after the two had already exchanged several letters regarding World War I. But it would be 40 years before another president would visit the Vatican. When President Eisenhower made his trip to Rome in 1959, there was still strong anti-Catholic sentiment in the U.S., something President Kennedy encountered as a candidate, and which prompted a famous speech to a group of Protestant ministers.
I am not the Catholic candidate for president. I am the Democratic Party's candidate for president, who happens also to be a Catholic.
When President Kennedy did meet with the Pope in 1963, he shook hands rather than kiss the Pope's ring, which was then a customary practice for Roman Catholics. Every president since Eisenhower and Kennedy has made the trip to Rome, with mixed results.
In times of great need, God does send someone.
Pope John Paul II became a strong ally for President Reagan during the Cold War, lending his moral authority to the fight against communism. But John Paul admonished the first President Bush over the U.S.-led war in Iraq in 1991.
We had a major tour d'horizon, touching on all the trouble spots.
And did the same to his son over the second Iraq war. For President Obama, this is a second trip to the Vatican. He and Mrs. Obama met with Pope Benedict XVI in 2009, during which the Pope pressed the president on the issues of abortion and stem cell research. While there was talk of policy differences today, there is a little more personal common ground for President Obama and Pope Francis. Both made history when elected, as the first African-American president and the first Latin American pope. Both started off on a wave of popularity. But while President Obama's approval numbers have dropped, Pope Francis's numbers continue to ascend, which is another reason this visit could be a boon for the American president. Candida Moss is a professor of theology at the University of Notre Dame.
Generally, presidents are looking to curry the favor of the man that is a spiritual leader of tens of millions of Americans. They're also meeting someone who's a head of state, who has a lot of diplomatic power in the world.
Obama, he doesn't have any power over nothing. Got nothing. He's got no power over nothing. This is a white man's country. This is a white man's world. The white man from Europe dominates the whole planet. White men goes into any country and kill everybody, take over anything they want. This is a white man's country. It's a white man's world. I'm not bragging about it. I'm just telling you the fact of the matter. White people out of Europe have dominated Europe and Europe has dominated the world. And so England has manipulated and exploited the races, the peoples of the world. The white man has been using exploitation, commerce to manipulate and exploit the whole human race. So I cannot believe that some young black guy who walks in and he's going to take over the old white man's establishment on the earth. Ain't going to happen. No. They brought him in for some reason to make him look like a schmuck one of these days soon. But he is not in control. Obama's just a front man. They get rid of him like they did Kennedy. Here's a very powerful man, John Kennedy. Everybody loved him. Handsome, debonair, president of the United States, wealthy, and they shot this guy in public and nobody went to jail. Nobody's ever going to jail. Why? Because the powers that be that run this country will kill you. You think for 1 minute you're going to get out of line and be important in this country, they'll whack you so fit. As a matter of fact, the California state has a I don't know if you know this or not, but the mafia have their own license plates in California. Do you know that? Yeah. The mafia is given their own license plates by the California state government. I know, because I've sat with the mob and talked with them. And they have their own license plates. I had at a time, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about, how government operates directly with the underworld. Christianity is sun worship based on astrology.
You know, the mystery of iniquity was already working more than 2,000 years ago during the time of the apostles. This is a clue that the powers of darkness had already been in motion during the time of the Mashiach, you know, the one who the world calls Jesus. Now the powers that be and the wicked rulers of this world, the Catholic Church, the harlot churches, all of them are knee-deep in the mystery of iniquity. Now the mystery is unraveling right before our eyes, and the Christian church, Christianity, is at the forefront.